Hi there, YouTube. This is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time my opponent chose to play as the Dwarfs, and I, surprisingly, chose to play as Chaos. Yes, I've been a little obsessed lately, trying to make Chaos a viable faction. My ladder ranking be damned. Okay, so let's take a look at what I did here. I have 3 aspiring champions mixed in with 5 Chaos Warriors with great weapons. The aspiring champions provide leadership because my heroes and my lord will be in the air, and they help keep everybody fighting. The Chaos Warriors with great weapons because dwarfs have tons of armor, and that will help them cut through it. I brought a Gore Beast chariot. It's great for pushing through the low mass dwarfs, especially their slayers, which just can't handle them. I also bring a hell cannon because you always want to force the dwarfs out of their turtle, and if they stay in their turtle you want to punish them for it. And in the air I have a Chaos Sorcerer of Fire, my lord on a Manticore as well, and just a straight up feral Manticore, which this was not intentional. I simply forgot to line them up, but these things happen. Taking a look at my opponent, let's see what he did here. It looks like he decided to put miners on each of his flanks, and then across the middle he has dwarf warriors with great weapons, and then he has 1, 2, 3 hammers, 2 dwarf warriors with great weapons, and back behind he has 3 units of slayers. So he obviously was worried about me bringing a bunch of giants or something to that effect. And back behind his line he has 1 more of the Longbeards with a great weapon. As far as leadership, he just has Ungrim Iron Fist, the Slayer King, who again is an excellent Slayer type unit, but not necessarily going to be ideal for what I'm bringing. He also has the Runesmith loaded up with all of his runes, which is pretty much a must-have for the dwarfs. So let's see how this goes. Of course, I'm going to open up with the Hell Cannon, and I like this little blob here that the hammers are in with the Longbeards behind them, so I'm going to target that. In the meantime, I'm going to get my flying contingent together. They've been a little disjointed there. And here in just a bit you're going to see me push the Gore Beast out. But I wait a while to do that because I'm trying to make him think about the flying, think about the cannon, and then this to be kind of the last thing he's worried about when it really is a significant threat to his line. So you can see the Hell Cannon's going to do a good job of punishing the dwarfs here. Doing a lot of health damage, not removing a lot of models, but that's typical for artillery. But actually got rid of 5 slayers there. That's pretty darn good. They try to retreat back, and they're just all 3 of them are going to take a hit there. So I love when things like that happen. I'm going to start threatening with my flying corps to see how he responds to that. And again, I'm going to use that as kind of a decoy to make him not pay attention to the Gore Beast. Not that there's a whole lot he can do about it because it's faster than anything he has on the field. So I start flying around his slayers, and I am thinking about diving in and hitting them because they suck at taking a charge. But I decide that's not necessary, no reason to risk what I have right now, and the Hell Cannon seems to be doing just fine at putting out damage on the dwarves. So his Runesmith gets way out in front here, and I should have capitalized on this more. The same thing with Ungrim Iron Fist, but with how good dwarf infantry is now, I'm nervous to get overcommitted. The leadership on them is ridiculous. So our lines are going to meet here. You're going to see big Chaos Warriors and little dwarfs, but everybody's carrying a giant big weapon. Bricks on sticks versus giant axes with one hell of a haft on them. So everybody's committed, but he's holding back his slayers because of my flying units. So I kind of like that. It's a pretty fair trade. I want to see how the infantry engagement goes, and I decide to go as far away from his slayers as I can. They're going to pull over, and that's going to open up an opportunity for the Gore Beast chariot to get in and start doing some work. In the meantime, while his slayers are running past, they are vulnerable to the Hell Cannon. So over here we quickly spike out this miner, which is going to free up one of our Chaos Warriors with great weapons. That's a great thing. In come the Gore Beast chariots, and they're just going to start knocking dwarfs over. And you can see instantly it creates leadership issues for them. It's just such a powerful charge. The Gorby's Chariot has a charge bonus of 90. I don't know anything in the game that does that. My center does break, though. His very expensive hammers pound a hole right through my center, and they're headed for my hell cannon. So I start sending the flying contingent over to deal. Over here, the infantry engagement on the far side is close, but he's got all of this coming in, and my guys are running, so that's very nerve-wracking. But on my left, his right, I'm doing well. The Gorby's Chariot is going to get into these hammers. It's going to put it down some serious damage and serious kills on them. And in the meantime, I'm trying to spike down his runesmith, who he kind of left out on an island here. Now you're going to see the Slayers trying to get in to help out with the runesmith, and the Gorby's Chariots are going to have a fun time just picking at them while they go by. My infantry here is starting to get pulled back because this is where all the action is. I pull my flying corps out, even though this is not a comfortable situation. I think with the Gorby's Chariot, if I get it moving here, I'll be able to get the advantage back. And over here, he's really stacked up some infantry, and I'm going to go after Ungram himself and see if I can't put some damage down on him and his buddies over here. So you're going to see me constantly using Cascading Fire Cloak. Back over here, I overwhelmed all of his forces that were trying to get back here, but he has 2 Slayers and a Runesmith beating on my cannon. Now, I don't think the Hell Cannon merits that much attention on his part, but he's got his Slayer stationary, and I can't resist the chance to go in with the Gorby's Chariot and beat some of their little topless asses. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. While on the other side, I'm cycle charging my flying units, and as you can see, they do a great job of splashing around in his infantry, and then ultimately going after Ungram Iron Fist. They do have a little bit of infantry support as far as these Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and they're just enough to anchor the enemy, so that's going to be okay. So my Chariot had a bit of a field day over here with the Slayers. It's up to 55 kills, but I sense that it's being targeted now by these Slayers, and I figure, okay, I'll pull it across and get in the rear of these infantry, and I switch it up and bring the flying back over here to deal with the Runesmith. So you can see I'm trying to create confusion by alternating my 2 biggest weapons, which is my flying corps and my Gorby's Chariot, from side to side, to make it as hard as possible for the dwarf to respond. He's much slower, we're much faster, and we're just going to go in here and start plowing through his lines here. Again, these are some very heavy dwarfs, so the Gorby's does get bogged down there a bit, but they still do melee damage, so it's not bad at all. On the other side, his Runesmith is completely murdered. Unfortunately, I lack the men to reman my cannons, so the Chaos Dwarfs are going to join the fight. Chaos Dwarfs! Chaos Dwarfs! They're like, oh, we're supposed to be manning a Hell Cannon. No, sir, you're not. You're fighters. Fighters first and foremost. So I see this minor unit a little isolated. I decide it's time to start picking off some of his peripheral stuff here. He was able to win this engagement. Now he's got a giant dwarf spam ball here, and I'm going to try to avoid spam ball versus just my flying, because that could go poorly. I'm going to be able to break and shatter the miners and run away and get back into the air. In the meantime, I start forming my infantry back up to get them in here picking off these Slayers for me, if at all possible. But he's rallying his men. After this long of a battle, it's still darn close. There's a lot of mean-looking infantry on his side, but my flying corps looks extremely healthy. My Chaos Lord and his homies, and we still have Cascading Fire Cloak going on, and we're going to come in here and go after Ungram Iron Fist. So he's going to get triple charged by flying. That's going to do a good bit of damage to him. He's a very tough character. Look at the stats on him right now. Just absolute beast with Deadly Onslaught, Stand Your Ground, and the Axe of Dargo going down. But it's just too much DPS coming in from my flying corps. I'm using my infantry to help out, but also block the advance of the dwarfs. As you can see, my infantry is here, which is preventing his dwarfs from getting straight into my flying units with any regularity. Now, I have these guys attacking, but for some reason they've decided they're going to stand in line. Like, is it my turn to murder yet? No, I'm pretty sure it's your turn. Is it my turn? No, not my turn. So, not sure what was up with that, but Ungram dies a death that's appropriate for a Slayer King, and that's going to quickly shift things in my favor. but I'm not going to take anything for granted. The cycle charge will continue, targeting different units, pushing them, splashing them, while my infantry get to continue the beat on them. It looks like the line is finally, the queue has finally died down, and everybody's gotten access to some dwarf murder opportunity. So things are happy and leadership is high. There's much happiness amongst Chaos Warriors. So after chasing off this hammer, gonna go right back in, gonna give it to him again. Let's just watch the carnage, just blood, guts, dwarf parts, axes, all kinds of stuff flying around. The manticores are fun to watch. They're not the most devastating unit per se as far as damage, but they scare the crap out of people, and they splash around a lot, which I like to see. Not that the damage is bad. You see dwarf heads flying and everything else, but yeah, it's just a complete murder mosh pit. The Slayers, as you know, are unbreakable, so they're just going to stick around for as long as they possibly can, but that's not very long. They just got chomped up there. Is there any dwarfs left? Anybody hanging out? Yeah, apparently. We're biting each other. Oh, there he is. There's a little dwarf. Oh, where did your head go? Where did your head go? Alright, so that was pretty satisfying. I've had some trouble with the dwarfs as of late. I changed my build again. I've been doing so much testing and so much practice. It's been ridiculous. So, first of all, good game to my opponent. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The Aspiring did what they did. They aspired, but they didn't get a whole lot of kills. 45 is pretty darn good, though, for one of these guys against the kind of quality of infantry that the dwarfs fielded here. Felled here. Felled is felled. Yeah, I guess there's words that are close, like felled and fielded, but that's still bad. 3 of my Chaos Warriors with great weapons absolutely murdered dwarfs like it was their job. A couple of them ranked up. The Hell Cannon, a little disappointing, but considering, as far as kills, but considering the amount of units it affected and the cost of them, I think it definitely got its money's worth. The Feral Manticore was a good addition to the flying crew, and they really wrecked a lot of stuff. And the Gorby's Chariot ranked up, so you know he got a lot of kills, and they were especially against the Slayers, who otherwise could have been a big problem for my flying corps. Taking a look at my opponent's army, the Miners did not do well. They were facing warriors, Chaos Warriors with great weapons, not an engagement that they really want. So being out on the flanks hurt them. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, not so great. Longbeard with great weapon, good job. Okay on the Slayers, but for the price, not so much. The Hammers were definitely the star of his show, as well as Ungram Iron Fist. He is a beast to take down, and he's a hell of a fighter. If you liked the battle, if you learned something, or you just feel like being a totally cool guy or gal, smash that like button. Please subscribe so you find out as soon as new videos come out, and it supports me a lot. It's the best way you can show some love for the channel, for the game, and for what we're trying to do here. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.